If you see me smiling all ready to start the show, it's because we got a commenter in the comments before we even start the stream here today. Marshawn Lynch comes in and says, "I hate being a Sixers fan." You see me rocking the Sixers hat today. I haven't done it in a while. I had to show some love to the
Yeah,
Sixers today, just to refresh everybody. I am a Sixers fan nonetheless,
yeah.
but welcome back, NBA to the Galaxy Pod, guys. Your host right here, my man at RTR30111 on Twitter, also known as Slim, Slimothy, Slimster, whatever you guys want to call him in the comments, let him have it. And
Yeah,
you can find me at Scotty Drowned on Twitter. But you can call me Scotty, of course. I don't know if there's any other names out there for me,
yeah,
but
man.
that's up
There's
to y'all.
plenty. Yeah,
But how you doing today, my man? It's been a minute. It's been
it's been a
three
minute.
NBA Finals games since we were last up here on the stream. So how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. I can't complain. We back at it again. So that's always a nice thing to do. Get our perspectives on things that transpire so far and whatnot. So yeah, I can't complain, man. We here to do it again. So hey,
I will complain about the NBA Finals so far. I will complain about that. And I kept Marshawn Lynch's comment up here on the screen because I do remember Marshawn from previous shows he's commented on.
yeah.
He had Dallas, beating the Timberwolves ultimately. He was right about that. But I believe, Marshawn, I believe you had Dallas beating the Boston Celtics. So I'm interested to know where
Yeah.
you're at, Marshawn Lynch, out
To
there.
be
Let us
more
know in the
exact,
comments, man.
if I'm not mistaken, I think he said that they get it done easily too. So
Yeah, I feel like that too. Refresh our memory, but I feel like he
yeah,
did say. I feel like they did say that.
yeah.
Nonetheless, though, man, thank you guys for tuning in. That's exactly what we're going to get into here today. We're going to get into the three games that have transpired so far in the NBA Finals. Celtics up 3-0, as you guys know. And we're going to get into kind of like game by game breakdowns since we haven't been here since before the series. Then we'll take a look at like what the Mavericks need to do going forward, what we think could possibly help them get just a W in this series. We'll talk about that, and then finally we'll finish it off with our predicted NBA Finals MVP, which could go a couple different ways depending on how you guys look at it out there. I think there's one guy that really stands out, but there's another guy that's probably right there for me that could make some noise and whenever this last game, whenever this series would conclude. But let's go from the start of this series right now, Slim. How are you feeling, my man? 3-0 series, Boston Celtics up by 3 games. Where are you at right now with this series? Is this surprising you? What are your thoughts so far?
I say definitely surprised. Like obviously, the both of us had the Celtics getting the job done, and rightfully so. But I think, man, like I expected better of the Mavericks. Like I didn't expect them to go down this way, especially
Yeah,
like the way that they have. Like obviously, Kyrie Irving, he's like what 13, well 0-13 against the Celtics in his last matchups or whatever. So
just crazy.
it's tough, but I don't know, man. It's just something about them Celtics that just make you like look at that team and be like, man, they really are hard to beat. But yeah, it's really just disappointing more so from the Maverick standpoint of like the fight that they've been putting up. It's just, I'm not impressed. Like the role players, they're not doing what they need to do. Jason
Yeah.
Kidd, I haven't seen, the right coaching adjustment that needs to be made or whatever. And even Luca as well. Like, it's just been a tough thing to see. But yeah, man, I just gotta give a shout out to the Celtics. But very disappointing in the Mavericks though. I definitely thought this would have been a better series for sure.
Yeah, man, I tend to agree, and I think I ended up saying maybe a 6 game series for this series. So I did have
Yeah.
the Celtics, I believe, in 6, but um, I did have a little bit of a feeling that this could happen. I won't lie to you. The Celtics, they're so good. I think what surprised me is that they
Yeah,
were
they
able to
really
keep
are.
that going on the road without Kristaps Porzingis. Didn't really even miss a beat. I guess
Mhm.
they came out a little slow to start the game. The Mavs had like a 15-point lead very early. From there, Celtics caught up. They were able to stay in that game the whole way. But it is kind of incredible. I think we kind of I shouldn't say we. I'm going to say myself because I can't speak for everyone out there, but I feel like I was kind of sleeping on the Boston Celtics even as a 64 60 whatever win team that they were this season. And, as they've gone through the playoffs, I think I've started to come back down to earth. Like, I was just hoping that somebody could knock these guys off because I hate the Celtics. I don't like the Celtics. I don't want
Yeah.
them to win. It pains me to, come into the NBA finals thinking that the Celtics are definitely winning that series. That's how I felt, but it pains me every time. And I think maybe for that reason, I kind of slept on the Celtics this year. Maybe it's like the finals, the Jason Tatum struggles in the postseason that are always talked about. How the Celtics kind of disappear come the NBA finals, right? They play some bad basketball. But overall, man, it really starts to feel like, as of right now, obviously, it's just Jason Tatum, it's Jaylen Brown, it's their time, man. It's their time to get a ring. And I think that's what we're all witnessing now. I think it's easier to settle in now, and accept it. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel, man. Just how this series has gone. To your point, I am disappointed in the Mavericks. Just put up a little bit better of a fight. Get one game in these first three, just to give us some hope of a competitive series. But
Mhm.
man, I mean, it's like you said, who's really going to step up for the Mavericks? It's those role players that are really lacking. Um,
Yes.
just impact, right? Impactful moments in games. I think that's all part of it, man. When you see guys like Drew Holiday and Derek White and even Kristaps Porzingis game one, right? Each one of those guys has kind of had a game so far this series,
Yeah.
and that's ultimately going to be the difference here, man. What has stuck out to you? Who has stuck out to you from the Mavericks as far as kind of the most disappointed? Like, who's disappointed you the most from the Dallas Mavericks so far? If you had to pick one player,
Um, I'd probably say Kyrie, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I could go a lot of different ways, but I'm gonna start with him because the reason I say that, like, he's been here before. Like,
yeah,
outside of him and Jason Kidd, I don't think nobody else has been here, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Tyson Chandler is like on the coaching staff or something like that. But
yeah, I did see him out. I wasn't familiar that he was, but yeah, I did see him
yeah,
out there
I
talking
be
before
seeing
the game.
him working out with Lively or whatever. But I would definitely say Kyrie from the simple of the fact, like, he's been on this stage before, and he's playing bad. You got to go out there and lead your guys too. Like, when they see you struggling or whatever, it's kind of hard to get those guys in the rhythm or whatever. Like, especially with the way that the Mavericks like to run their offense or whatever around Luke and Kyrie. So if Kyrie don't got it going or whatever, it's just kind of hard to catch a rhythm. So yeah, Kyrie struggled the first two games. Obviously, he had a better game last game, and rightfully so. But I definitely gotta say, Kyrie, man, I definitely expected him to be way better than what I've seen in these first two
I
games of the finals.
I do kind of feel that, honestly, because you look at specifically game two. If he shows up really at all, game one as well. I mean, he needed to show up in that game. It was a little bit more far spread, I would say, but game two sticks out to me. The 16 points, the bad shooting, the lack
Yeah,
of appearance in the big moments of that game in the second half of that game too. And I do feel like game two was right there for them to steal. I feel like they could have really taken that one. Obviously, game three back in Dallas, that's one you want to have. He did drop 35. I'll take it to the other side, right? And the guy that's disappointed me, man, is Luka Doncic. I think there's a couple different ways you can go in this series as far as guys that are disappointed. It goes down the line,
yes, it really
but
is.
Luka Doncic, and to your point, and to our points put together, I would say I think it starts at the top, though.
Yep.
Two games from Kyrie that have been just bad for his standard. And Luka Doncic, while he hasn't been bad, right? I'm pulling the numbers up right now. So 27 in last night's game, 32 in the second game. He had a triple double in game two, so you can't take too much from him there. Game one, 30 points, 10 rebounds. Once again, it's the big moments. The numbers actually look great. So I would actually put Kyrie over Luka as far as the bigger disappointment. But just to make the point valid and understand where I'm coming from, it's just the bigger moments where I'm seeing Jason Tatum's of the world. I'm seeing the Jaylen Browns of the world make big plays for the Boston Celtics down the stretch. And you look at the Mavs side, they're looking for a shot maker down the stretch, where Luka has been so good this postseason. That is why it is such a disappointment from his standpoint, because the numbers are standard. by all means for Luka Doncic in this series so far. But it's really in those big moments where against the Minnesota Timberwolves, he would be unstoppable in the fourth quarter specifically. And I think right now that's what the Mavericks are missing. They're missing that scoring punch to close games, which Luka Doncic, he's supposed to come through. But to your point, I think as I talk through that, I would probably agree with you that Kyrie is the most to blame here. Let's take it to the opposite end. Who have you been most impressed with on the Boston Celtics?
Man, that's you can go a lot of ways with that. I
Yeah,
promise.
pick your
Most
poison.
impressed, man. I'm gonna get it to JB, man. I feel like he's embracing that role of just like hearing all the talk about whose team it is, even though it shouldn't matter. Like him and Tatum are on the same team, one goal, right? It shouldn't be like who's the best player or who team is it, but I think JB just embracing all that nonsense talk that's going on or whatever, and just going out there and getting the job done on both ends to be exact. I mean, I got to
Yeah,
give him his props. He has done one hell of a job guarding both Kyrie and Luca, and while
yeah.
also providing offense on the other end, going out there getting you like 25 plus points a night. So yeah, I got to definitely say JB. I love what I've been seeing from him in these first three games in the finals.
Yeah, I think I would probably agree with you there. First two games, maybe Kristaps Porzingis,
Yeah,
maybe you could throw Jason Tatum in there.
yeah,
I
Drew
do. I will.
Holiday.
I'll throw a little nod to Jason Tatum. I think he's catching a lot of heat, especially for games 1 and 2. Didn't
Oh
get
yeah, for
where
sure.
he normally gets to in the scoring column, but he's doing the other things, man. He's doing the other things that it takes
Yes,
to
he
win.
really is.
I believe
Thank
he's
you.
had a double-digit assist game in this series. He's definitely
Yeah,
had a
he was one
double-digit.
rebound off of a triple double. So yeah,
One
I
rebound,
get.
yeah, that was game
Yes.
2 then.
Yeah,
And then game 1 he dominated the boards as well. So that's a guy I did want to shout. That's my Duke bias coming out though, by the way.
I can't believe
But
that.
the guy that I'm going to acknowledge, although I do agree with you, I think Jaylen Brown's been the most impressive. It's Drew Holiday, and I think obviously in game 2 you saw him make that huge difference. Wasn't super great last night as a role player won't generally be on the road. But nonetheless, he's fulfilling his role to a T, man. And I really just love the leadership, like the calmness that Drew Holiday brings to them. I think that's another undersold part of their success this season and why they have been able to get to this next level.
Yeah,
So yeah, I just wanted to shout out Drew Holiday. I
yeah,
think he's been quite impressive, but Jaylen Brown is the easy answer here, man. The athleticism, the scoring ability, the dog mentality. I think that's even with my Duke bias, man, like that is kind of what I like about Jaylen Brown more than Tatum. Like that's why I almost hold Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum from like a player talent
yeah.
standpoint,
Fair
all of it
enough.
put together. Who's the better player? I like Jaylen Brown's mentality, man, especially in this postseason, in this NBA Finals matchup. He's going out there, he's doing whatever it takes to win. That's, like you said, guarding the best player, scoring 20 plus points, scoring 30 points in last night's game. He's just all over the place. He's athletic, he can do it all, and he's really proven himself. And I think right now, to your point, he would be the Finals MVP. Like I think he would have to, all bias aside, right? Like
Yeah,
I could see Tatum getting it just because he's Jason Tatum, but like all bias aside, it's Jaylen Brown right now, and I think that's the easy answer so far, man.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the way that the Boston Celtics went out and got Drew Holiday is just amazing. Like he was quotation mark cooked, but in reality, it wasn't. Like obviously Jimmy Butler, gave him the business or whatever. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's only so much Drew can do, man. I mean, it's tough having to go out there and guard the opposing team best player who's taller than you and stronger than you, while also doing that, but not only having to be a point guard on the on the offensive end, like being able to run plays and whatever, and have to be aggressive offensively because Giannis,
yeah,
he had got injured or whatever in that series, so the Bucks decided to move on from him. And I mean, shout out to Brad Stevens for going out there and getting him. I mean, like you mentioned, he bring that calm presence. He's been here before. He knows what it takes to win. So
yeah,
yeah, then also like to another point, like you was talking about earlier, like the Celtics, man, they got a lot of pieces. Like if you look at the game last night, like you had Sam Hauser who he hit three threes, right?
yeah,
And then you have Xavier Tillman, he hit a
yeah,
huge three. and he gave you two block shots, and his presence was felt off the bench. So it's just like, man.
Yeah,
And to mention all that, like, mind you, like Porzingis didn't even play last night,
yeah.
and they still got the role players to go out there and contribute.
Ooh, we losing for a second. He'll be back nonetheless. No, I do agree with everything he was saying there. Ultimately, the role players are stepped up in the big moments, and Xavier Tillman, that has to be like the underlying story for Game 3 is like his contribution. I'm going to get the numbers pulled up here really quick. Obviously, maybe not the biggest impact in the scoring column in in the statistical department in general, but obviously had some big plays. 11 minutes, obviously 3 points, 4 rebounds in this game. But the big three, as Slim mentioned, let me get him pulled up here.
Yeah, my bad, man. But yeah, back to what I
Oh,
was
good.
saying. They just the role players they got, man. It's hard to beat, man. Like especially like when you look at the Celtics, like the way they run their offense, like Derek White, Drew Holiday. When those guys making shots, even Al Horford, it's just even hard to beat. Like if you
Yeah,
go down the list of guys on the Celtics compared to the Mavericks, it's like six guys on the Celtics who can go out there and get you 20, not on any given night, but
yeah.
they could somehow end up with 20. Whereas it to the Mavericks, I can't really see that outside of Luka and Kyrie, maybe PJ, but it's just a huge maybe. So yeah, man, these Celtics, their offense is loaded, man.
PJ's been solid, right? Like that's what I meant about Kyrie in game two. It's like PJ had a great game in game two. That's the game you win if Kyrie just shows up, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, yeah, there's not a ton of guys that you can look to for scoring here. You even got a double double from Derek Lively last night as well. 13 rebounds, 11 points from him. Um,
What's up with
yeah,
that,
I mean
man?
Derek Jones Jr. 2 points, but what do you expect consistently from him, man? I don't know. He performed really well against the Timberwolves, right? And I think
Yeah.
that kind of misguided us. Maybe you give Hardy more minutes going forward, like some type of
Um,
offensive spark. Like
I
I
would
don't
say,
know. They got limited options. Tim Hardaway
yeah.
Jr.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's what I say. Like, I'm kind of disappointed in Jason Kidd. Like, I feel like this more so a Dante Exum series than a Derrick Jones, if that kind of makes sense. Because I feel like Dante is a better shooter than Dante. I mean, Dante is a better shooter than Derrick Jones, but Derrick Jones is obviously athletic than Dante. So,
Yeah,
but I mean, you gotta like pick your poison in that sense. Because Derrick Jones, he's really not giving you nothing. Like, what is he averaging like points wise in his finals? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's pretty low.
he had one game with 11, but other than that,
Yeah, I thought
he's
Jason Kidd
averaging
would have
6.
been better too, man.
Yeah, he's averaging 6 points. Yeah, I'm trying to decide how much I blame Jason Kidd, man. I'm just looking like who's playing here. I do agree, like between Exum or Hardy, like give somebody some more minutes and see
Yeah,
what you
you
can get
got to,
as a
man. You
spark
got
plug,
to.
right? I get Derek Jones because like you need him out there for defense on Tatum and Jalen Brown, like two of the hardest two wings to guard in the NBA on one team, right?
Yeah,
Like when
fair
you're
enough.
talking specifically wings.
Yeah.
So I get why you have to have him out there. Yeah, yeah. This is what I'm struggling with because I'm looking at Luca's numbers last night, and like Luca didn't have the greatest game. Obviously, he was 11 for 27 from the field, 27 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. Kyrie had 35. PJ Washington had 13. Lively had a double double, and I'm like, well, like what else do we want? And it's like Luca just has to score 40 to beat the Celtics. Like
Yeah,
Kyrie
man.
has to score 40 to beat the Celtics, and I think rather than blaming the Sixers for everything, I think we just have to give credit to the freaking Celtics, man. Like I
Yeah, you
think
got
that's
to,
what it
man.
comes down to. You
They
got
just
to give
that
them
damn
credit.
good.
They just no matter what matchups you like, no matter how you match up with them, there's a mismatch somewhere. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I think maybe Minnesota would have been a better matchup for them. I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like Minnesota or Denver versus the Celtics? Do you think it would be any
Yeah.
different or?
Yeah, it definitely would be different. I mean, They got I say Minnesota more so than anybody because they had the size to match up with the Celtics. Like, oh, like we go back to Game One, the Mavericks was not ready for Porzingis coming off the bench. No way. It looked like they was lost
Yeah,
out there. Like they didn't have the game plan for him or whatever. He just got
yeah,
to it. So whereas it to a team like Minnesota, they had the luxury of having a guy like Nas Reed to throw in a guy like Porzingis or even Rudy, Cat.
yeah,
So yeah, they had a person there to match up with the Celtics. Now the Mavericks, that's where they kind of struggle at. So yeah, I agree with you. The Timberwolves definitely probably would have been a better matchup overall. So
yeah, yeah. Because they have the more defensive identity. They still
yeah,
have the superstar player that can take over like any game in Ant Edwards. You do
hmm
have Cat that can give you, 20 to 20. Let me put it this way. Cat, I mean, well, let me not stretch it out too far. I was gonna say Cat would probably be just as good as Kyrie in this series right now.
I mean that's not a bad take. I mean, considering the fact how
Kyrie's at
Kyrie
35, though. I don't know if Cat's doing that, but the other two games for sure.
he could get you close to 35, maybe a
He can get you
27-point
30.
game. Yeah, like
He's having a
30.
hot game.
Yeah,
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 I
something
agree.
like that. Bro.
I agree. Interesting though, man. This series so far, 3-0. What do you like? What specifically would you say to Jason Kidd though? You obviously think it. Marshawn Lynch thinks it that Jason Kidd could be more of a difference. What are some different tactics that you would try in Game 4, just to like throw the sink out? Like you don't want to get swept in the NBA Finals. That's embarrassing. So like,
Yeah,
how can they just come away with one win in this series?
but like you mentioned, like give Hardy more minutes. I feel like that's the way to start because Tim Hardaway Jr. like he's not giving you nothing, man. I was
Yeah,
reading a stat earlier on X and
it's
it was
crazy.
beyond yeah, it was beyond horrible. Man. He's basically like a walking negative on a court.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you take all his minutes away, give it to Hardy or mix it up between Hardy and is Josh Green getting a fair enough minutes? Like,
Josh Green is getting 22 minutes a game, and
mm.
let's just see what he's done in
Well,
those
hold
three.
on, the real question is like, okay, so I know Maxi Kleber, he's dealing with a shoulder injury, right? But he's still playing, if I'm not mistaken, right?
So yeah, let me check on him really quick. Josh Green is averaging 18.7 minutes per game and averaging 3 points per game within those 18 minutes. Kleba played 8 minutes last night, had 0 points.
Hmm.
Previous games he played 16 and 19 minutes, 0 and 2 points.
Well,
So yeah.
it's tough. I mean, it's like you got to start somewhere though, right? Like I don't know
Yeah,
what to think.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
To
the
be
White
nice about
Powell
it.
can he shoot threes? Maybe to a certain extent. Do you feel like he
Dwight
can knock them
Powell.
down?
I wouldn't trust him for that. I think
Uh,
maybe you throw him. Nah, because you got Gafford,
yeah,
you
but
got
Gafford, man,
Lively.
his impact hasn't really been felt this series. Like Lively, he has done a better job than Gafford,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm trying to
Why
see. Like
not? Well, why not
maybe they should
start
have.
Lively first of all? Why not start him? Why not just do that at this point?
I
And
mean, that
then
wouldn't
maybe
be a
you
bad
go with
idea.
Powell as the backup instead of Gafford, just to try
Yeah,
some. Like I'm just
that's
saying,
what I was
try
about to
something.
mention. Like even I know it's a long shot, but what about the Morris twin? Like just go small with him at the five. He
Go
can
in there and
shoot,
punch somebody. Like
you know.
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding,
Yeah.
obviously, but he would bring like a grittiness to it, right?
Yeah,
That's
he can
something that
bring
the
that
Morris twins have
tenacity,
always
that
had.
physicality, and he can stretch the floor as well, get you some rebounds, buy you some minutes. So
They
the
must
point
be at
is,
really
like,
desperate times if we're talking about Markeith Morris out here,
I
man.
mean, the point is, man, like you need some offense, man.
Yeah,
Like with the
yeah,
Celtics, they're so good offensively. Like you gotta try to keep up with those guys, man. Like obviously, you know what Tatum and Brown going to give you, but it's the others. Like you got
yeah,
Holiday, White, Horford, Porzingis, Hauser, Pritchard. So you gotta try to match those guys' energy. So if I'm Jason Kidd, like I wouldn't hesitate to make the necessary adjustments that need to be made.
yeah,
We've seen how they went last series with Minnesota versus Dallas. They just didn't make the right adjustments, and ultimately the Timberwolves lost. So it's not necessarily too late to come back in this series, although the numbers are against them. I
yeah,
think it's who's ever up 3-0, in the series is like 157 all time minus zero. So you got your work cut out for you, man. But if you believe it can happen, then it can happen, man. It just takes time.
Yeah, like I said, like you've said, like I said, you got to take it one game at a time.
Yeah, take it one game at a time.
Take it one game at a time. That's all you got left, really. In reality, is one game at a time. And to that point, I think that calls for Jason Kidd to try some quote unquote crazy things. And I think the first thing I would do, man, just looking at and kind of thinking off your idea earlier with Derek Jones Jr., it's not working out, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
working out the way you need it to work out. Let's try something different. Daniel Gafford not working out. Let's try something different in the starting lineup. I think I would put Derek Lively in there at starting center to start the game. Just give that energy from the jump, right? Go out there and
Hmm.
stomp on their necks. And I think I would probably go Josh Green in there for Derek Jones Jr. Go with Kyrie, Josh Green, Luka. I get it. It's three guards. Josh Green's 6'5". Luka
Yeah,
is what,
6'6",
6'6", 6'7".
6'7", six. Josh
Kyrie,
Green,
what,
yeah,
6'2", maybe
6'2".
6'1".
Yeah.
So I get it. It's a little undersized, especially against Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But I think one of the things you can try is just to, I don't want to say outscore them, but
Yeah.
kind of make it a higher scoring game. So I guess, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Make it a
Yeah.
higher scoring game, except that the Celtics will score 120 and just try to match them. Maybe that's by putting four shooters on the floor. Um, but that is the overall problem. I just don't even know if they have four shooters that I'm confident in to put on the floor at one time. Like I really just don't know. Josh Green's shot 36% in the postseason from three, limited shots though, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Exum, like you said. How tall is Exum? What type of size is he?
Exum like
6'5".
6'6", 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah,
He a pretty good
he's
wing
long
defender,
though.
man. Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like he'll do it. I think this is more so his series than Derrick Jones, man. Like
yeah.
he's a better shooter. I mean, defensively you can argue like who's better, but I just feel like this is his type of series, man.
I'm just checking to see how tall is Jaden Hardy. He's
Jaden
6.
Hardy is like
That'd be
6
too
foot,
small.
6'1".
Yeah, that'd be too small for the starting lineup. I do think he should get some more minutes though. What's the worst he can do?
Yeah,
Throw up some shots that
I
might
mean,
actually go in. Um,
exactly. Like you talk about providing more offense. I mean, he can give you that off the bench. So
yeah, keep Tim Hardaway Jr. I don't want to say like completely bench him because I do feel like he could get hot. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like he
like
could, but it's not trending that way, right?
yeah, like one thing about Tim Hardaway, I don't know if you can agree with this, but he's always been a streaky guy, man. Like
Streaky as hell.
he he has his runs like where he go, average crazy numbers, and then it's
Yeah,
just like sometimes you tend to forget that he's even on the Mavericks at times.
yeah.
So he's very streaky, man. So to your
It's
point, he could get hot though. He really could, but it just depends, man. It's a big if, and if you the Mavericks, your time is like is ticking. So you
yeah.
really don't have much time. So you got to figure it out for sure.
It's so wild, bro. He has played in 4 games between the Minnesota and the Dallas, or Minnesota and Dallas, Dallas and Boston. He's played in 4 games between those two series
Mm-hmm.
and has scored a resounding 0 points in all 4 of those showings.
I will say this though,
Crazy.
to be fair to him, like he was getting garbage minutes, bro. Like he wasn't getting a legitimate minutes. To be fair, so I knew he was
19 in the
having a rough.
last game. 19 was probably, to your point, the fairest chance he got.
Yeah,
And then they tried early on in the Minnesota series, gave him 10 minutes, but it wasn't really
yeah.
working there either.
Because I know like
It's
he
this,
wasn't really getting any runs this postseason. So
he's supposed to be that spark plug, though, right? Like you
yeah,
said, he is
yeah.
streaky, so he does need minutes at the end of the day. But I don't know. He averaged 14 points in the regular season and giving you nothing in the last 2 series. Mind you, it didn't hurt you against Minnesota, but they could really use him getting hot right now. And to that point, I think it's worth a shot putting him in the lineup. It's, give him 15 plus minutes, at least see if he can hit some threes out there.
Yeah, man.
Kleber,
Hopefully, it's
Kleber is that guy though. He is the floor spacing big, right?
uh
he hasn't been hitting shots either, man.
Yeah, he's dealing with a serious shoulder injury, man. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's tough for
minutes been
him.
limited. Yeah. Yeah, they don't have many options.
They don't. I mean, they really don't. Like,
So let me ask you this: with all of that being said, do they win a game in this series? Do they win Game 4? Do the Mavs
man,
win?
it's like I don't want to say that they're gonna get swept. I will say this though, like a lot of Boston Celtics fans on X today, it's like they want them to kind of lose so they can celebrate at home. But if I'm the Celtics, man, I get this job done at 4. Like the quicker
Yeah,
the better, man. You can't underestimate your opponent by any means, like despite the circumstances at hand. But you know what, man? I'm going to say that the Boston Celtics are going to sweep the Mavericks, man. Like I think I've seen enough to say that. I really have. Like I think I've seen enough. So yeah, they're going to sweep those guys, man.
mm.
And even to your point, like if they don't, this goes no more than 5, bro. No way. It shouldn't go no
Yeah.
more than 5.
I ultimately agree with that. I think I would lean with you though. I think I would go Celtics in 4, man. I hate to say it. I want to
Yeah,
pick
me
against
too, man. Me too,
the
man.
one way I could see Dallas getting one at home. I'm not going to call it stealing at home, but I mean stealing one out of this series. Would be if you could get like a game like Kyrie had last night, plus a game 2 performance like Luca had in the same
Hmm.
game. That can get you
Yeah,
one win in
that's
this
fair.
series.
That's pretty fair. And then
But
also you get your role players give you something that
somebody, right? Like
yes, a
PJ and
PJ,
somebody
right?
steps
Yes,
up. They need
somebody
two
steps up.
guys. Two of those guys need to step up and get into like double figures, I would say. And
Yeah, man.
they'll
Look
get
at
it done.
defense, man. Oh my God.
Yeah, before we get out of here, man, I'm glad you brought that up. I knew I was forgetting something, man, but it's getting talked about a lot right now. Luca on the defensive end. Are you giving him any excuses, or do you think this is easily the biggest thing? Athleticism in general. I don't think it's just like defense. It is defense. It's where it hurts the most. But athleticism, getting in better shape in general, I think needs to be his number one focus this offseason, man.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's dealing with an injury, right? But
Yeah.
it's like, can we really use that as an excuse, though, man?
Right.
It's hard to say, but I mean,
You're
he's a
picking on
cone
him.
out there. Like I
Yeah.
don't like Luca. As great as he is offensively, right, and he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats. But defensively, I don't think he's going to ever be an elite, defensive player, which is okay. But
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at some of the things that's going on, as far as like his thing go on the defensive end, like who's he guarding or whatever, like they're literally looking to go at him every time. Like who's
Yeah.
ever he's guarding, they're asking for them to set the screen so JB or JT can go to work on him. So, and not even that, like when Luca playing off the ball, he tends to fall asleep a lot. Like there was so many shots that, for a prime example, Hauser last night, like Luca just fell asleep and then he just gets to looking around like
Yep.
what's going on, but it's
Yep.
your fault. But I don't know, man. It's like, can we really give him an excuse? I don't know. It's like a 50-50 thing. Because
It's
I know
tough,
he is
right?
dealing with an injury. And
Yeah.
they did make it this far with him practically playing on one leg.
And I didn't
So
expect them to make it this far, to
yeah,
be
me
fair.
neither.
So
I admit that. I didn't either.
that's a great point. Let me ask
Yeah.
you this. This is the official last question I got for you. If you got anything else after this, definitely shoot it
Yeah.
my way. But
Yeah, I
this is
definitely
all I
do.
got left. If you got the opportunity, or let's just say this: Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown in Luka Doncic's shoes this series, roles reverse. Do you think that either of them could do more with the Mavericks versus what Luka is doing just in this series?
Hmm.
So let's say take Jaylen Brown, if that's been your best player on the Celtics so far this series. We just called Luka a cone on defense. We know what Jaylen Brown is on defense. We know what he can present on both sides of the ball. Is there any world where one of those guys would be more impactful with the Dallas Mavericks
Man,
surrounding cast?
that's a damn good question. It really is.
No
Like,
wrong answers, really.
yeah, but it's a great question. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to disrespect Luca here. Like, I don't
Like, would the
know.
Mavs still be down 0-3 if Jason Tatum was their star player or if Jaylen Brown was their star player beside Kyrie right now?
Mm, I don't think so. I don't think they'll be down 0-3. They probably would still be down though, but I
Yeah,
don't think they'll be down 0-3 by any means.
I
So
think they would have snuck one of those out.
yeah, I think they would have because I mean it's already tough when you got like on defense you got Luka and Kyrie as your
Yeah,
backcourt. So
yeah.
that's already alone pretty tough. Like no offense to either one of those
That's
guys, but
fair, yeah.
it's already tough as it is. So when you go zone or whatever, like guys got to be more alert, especially Luka. So yeah, but to your point, that's a great question. But I don't think they'll go down. Like I don't think they would be down 0-3 by any means. Maybe 2-1, something like that, but not
You
0.
make a great point though about the Kyrie and Luka partnership, and I think when you look at it, like just imagine if Jaylen Brown was sitting beside Kyrie Irving. I know Kyrie played for the Celtics before, blah blah blah. Just imagine this form of Jaylen Brown beside Kyrie Irving right now,
Yeah,
and I think it balances out a little bit more. If
yeah,
you
it
know what I mean,
does.
like
Yeah, it really
Jaylen Brown's
does.
going to strap up the best player, and then you got Kyrie Irving, where maybe Jaylen Brown strapping up the best player has to take a little bit of a back seat in the scoring department. What maybe he just scores 20 to 23, right? Kyrie then can become the number one guy in the scoring department, the playmaking department, and he can lead the team in that way on the offensive end. And I think that could even garner you more of like a rhythm for Kyrie Irving. All hypotheticals. Get ready for him because it's going to be all off season. We're going to be doing hypotheticals. That's all
Yeah,
that
man.
exists in the off season.
Yeah, I can't
So
wait.
definitely get ready for those. We're going to have a ton of interesting topics
Yeah,
to get
man.
us through the summer, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun, man. Yo, is Marshawn still around? Is he still out there?
I don't know. He hasn't commented in a minute though. In
Yeah,
a minute, so I don't know if he's still out there.
yeah. So I
What do
wanted
you
to
got?
just
What
say,
did you want to say to him?
I just wanted to say to the both of y'all guys, like, in all seriousness, like, Tobias Harris going to get this max deal, and I can't wait. I
You
can't
got it.
wait to see the look on your face, bro.
I need
I
him
really
to go
can't.
ahead and sign with the Detroit Pistons
Or the
and get this
Orlando
out of the way so
Magic.
we can stop doing this.
Or the Orlando Magic. They might throw him a nice
The
bag. San
Magic, the
Antonio.
Warriors, I heard are interested in him.
No, I
Golden
ain't hear
State
that.
Warriors.
I didn't hear
They
that.
like him paired with Draymond Green. They like that
No,
pairing in the front court.
no, I don't know about that, but he would do good down there in San Antonio, Texas. So you know,
That's an interesting fit.
yeah,
He would
it's
bring some, some veteran leadership there. That would be good
yeah,
for them.
yeah.
They
But
got
nonetheless, he
Gatsby.
should definitely go to Detroit though. They're going to throw him the max probably. So
Yeah,
because
that's
honestly, bro,
interesting.
like I know I bring this up a lot with your bias, but I don't know, but it's just something about that his last game, man. Like it's just something about it, Like
Something
I
about
went,
his 0 points, dog.
yeah, like I went through the same thing with Clay. Like he gave us 0 points in the playing game, so I
But
know the
see, I
feeling.
would take Clay. I would take Clay. Obvious for obvious reasons. I would take Clay 10 times out of 10 over Tobias
Yeah,
Harris.
yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
Like obviously, but yeah. To your point, I mean they are. I don't know. I don't know what caliber player Tobias Harris is anymore, man. I think that's my struggle, but I don't have to worry about it anymore. If I do end up having to worry about it, then Daryl Morey, we're gonna start the Fire Daryl Morey campaign on this show. Like on
Come
all of
on,
my shows, we're gonna
come on.
start the
We
Fire Daryl
can't do
Morey.
that, man. We can't do that.
Yeah, we cannot bring this dude back, man. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's how jerseys get burnt and shit.
Yeah.
Merchandise. But that's all I got for you guys tonight. Slim, anything else to say out there to the viewers, my man?
That's pretty much it, man. Like keep tuning to the finals, and all season's gonna be pretty fun, man. Make sure you tap into us weekly episodes as we break everything down. It's gonna be a fun all season, man, for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is going to be fun. Be sure to tap in, guys. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button to help the channels grow here. And be sure to tune in. I believe we will be back next Tuesday. It depends, though. If the Celtics, sweep on Friday, we might just have to hop back on here on Monday. We'll see how it goes, how the schedule works out. But nonetheless, we'll be back Monday or Tuesday live right here on NBA to the Galaxy Pod. Be sure to give my man Slim a follow at RTR 30111 on Twitter. And you can find myself at Scotty Drown. Everybody, have a great rest of your evening then. Peace.